Perhaps the biggest game of the Dan Campbell coaching era is going to be less than 24 hours from now as the Detroit Lions take on one of the league's best teams, the Buffalo Bills, at home, Ford Field on Thanksgiving Day. Lions are going to face some challenges with players out on the offensive line, a couple people on defense, all that. So let's talk about what this means, how we're going to handle that, and maybe just a little bit more on today's Lions Talk Live. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome to the best damn Detroit Lions channel on all of YouTube, Lions Talk Live. I am your host, Dan Thornton, and we're going to dive into tomorrow's big game in Detroit. How do the Lions rate against the Buffalo Bills? We got a 3-game winning streak going into this. A win here would do wonders for Detroit getting really legitimately back into the playoff push. So we're going to dive in and dissect both teams and what it means. Also, at the end of the video, unrelated to the Buffalo game, if you're looking for a little bit of commentary from Jameson about what he's thinking about the return to playing, his introduction into the NFL coming sooner versus later, I want to put in some audio from his interview yesterday with reporters, but I didn't want that to be the focus of today's Lions Talk Live, so stick around for the end of it if you're interested. Let's start with the Detroit Lions defense. Once left for dead, once one of the worst things ever in the history of the NFL, and that's saying something over 100 years that nobody's been this bad on defense. But in the last 3 weeks during the winning streak, and let's be fair, maybe even a little bit before that when you see the Dallas game and among other factors, Lions defense is getting better and better. Now, Josh Paschal is not going to play tomorrow, nor is Jeff Okudah. Unfortunately, both are out, but we move on. Let's talk about some of the good for Detroit. While we're still giving up yards, in the last 3 games, we're actually number 2 in the whole NFL as far as generating turnovers. Everybody's aware that Kirby Joseph has emerged. He's got 3 picks. And think about it, he's only really played half of the game so far, and yet he's number 2 in all the NFL as far as safeties with interceptions. Just a couple weeks ago, Kirby was the NFL Defensive Player of the Week for the NFC, and now he's got another rookie teammate in Aiden Hutchinson, who was nominated just today and received the award for a second in 3 weeks, Detroit Lions rookie player receiving NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Before we get into breaking down the two teams, I do want to say this. I want to say thank you to everybody out there who's been watching Lions Talk Live, listening in, checking out the posts, whatever content we throw out there at you guys. You guys have been making me feel very grateful that you're paying attention. You're helping me grow the channel. You're offering some excellent feedback. Everybody, this is kind of a community thing. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Everybody's just exchanging thoughts and ideas. And I believe we all pretty much understand we're Lions fans. If we're in this, we're looking for ideas. We want a reason to believe that this team is no longer going to be the team that's been for the majority of the last 20 years, really since 2000 when things have not gone well overall for the team. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Maybe leave a thumbs up and I'll leave a comment also in the comment section below. Now, let's break down these two teams. With the defense, you see the play of Aleem McNeil. You got tons of people looking for stats, all sorts of stuff nowadays in the NFL, breaking down this, that, the other thing. I would have never known that he is the first ever 325-plus down lineman, to generate 10 pressures in a single game. Nobody ever at that weight has done so much as he did last week against New York. You see the play of Malcolm Rodriguez improving, Derek Barnes improving. Paschal, while he'll be out tomorrow, in limited sample size, you can see the impact he's having on the defense. I mean, you can go on and on through player after player, but bottom line is Detroit's defense is emerging into becoming one that we thought it would be at the start of the year. It just took a little bit longer. Well, that being said, now how is that going to impact Buffalo? Buffalo's offense has been struggling, led by their quarterback, Josh Allen. He was considered an MVP front runner at the start of the year, but the last few weeks, I'm sure we all know, with his elbow injury, he's been less than stellar. So with Allen facing an ailing throwing elbow, he's turned the ball over with a number of picks. I'm sure if you look back just a couple weeks ago when they played the Minnesota Vikings from our division, he turned it over quite a bit in the red zone. Just really hasn't been himself, and nor was he last week. Consider this, the Cleveland Browns made a game of it. They were only down 13-10 at halftime. Now, yes, their offense is it's just not even there as far as Cleveland's. So eventually, Buffalo was able to pull away. Will that happen again this weekend, where Buffalo's defense, once a stout unit, is now showing some signs of age and getting picked apart a little bit? Whatever it may be, I will say this. I do believe Detroit's offense is going to be able to score some points on them, especially if Josh Reynolds is truly good to go and able to play. As of right now, roughly 5 p.m. on the night before the game, he's listed as questionable. Will he be able to go out and play? If so, I think it'll be an added boost for the Detroit Lions offense, who's been fair the last few weeks. But the Detroit Lions offense will be challenged, and it comes to both the guards on the offensive line are out. Not only that, but the backups at both guard position are out. So you're probably going to see Dan Skipper start at one spot. Who's going to start at the other? I guess we'll see what the coaching staff goes with, as it's been fairly mum this week. What we can probably expect, though, is since we're going to have some backups in there, Detroit's probably going to have to use a little bit more max protection in obvious passing situations. Simple fact is, while Frank Ragnow is going to play, let's be fair, the last few weeks he really hasn't been able to practice because the same toe injury that required surgery a year ago that kept him out is reemerged, and they're giving him as little work during the week as possible to make sure he can play on game day. Now, Sue and Decker are still playing at a high level, so at least the weak spots on our offensive line are going to be spots where we can help double and mitigate the amount of one-on-one pass blocking or run blocking both the guard positions are going to have to be responsible for. I'm sure we're all aware that offense was aided a little bit by DJ Shark last week. Even though he was unproductive statistically, it gave the Lions another body, and let's be fair with him. He is one of our fastest receivers. He was probably the fastest receiver for Detroit on the field a week ago, and that's something defenses, good, bad, or ugly, have to account for. So if we can get him back, along with Josh Reynolds, and no, I'm not expecting Jameson Williams to play tomorrow, but you can see where the future is trending upwards for this team. The 3 running back system that the Lions have basically used and gone to since the bye has consistently produced a more and more each game. Some in the passing game, obviously in the run game. Jamal Williams is doing everything I think anybody could expect from him. He's a hammer back who's occasionally able to break a few, 10, 20, once against Seattle, a 40-plus yarder. But a consistent running back there. You have the emergence of Jackson and then Swift coming in to kind of spell them both. You can see where the Detroit run game's going, and it's a promising thing that Buffalo's defense isn't great at stopping the run. It's my opinion, looking at Buffalo's defense now, the strength of their unit is going to be in the skill positions, much like their offense. As far as the trench warfare guys, they're not the greatest on either side of the ball. But if Detroit gets out of balance on offense, if we fall behind significantly, that's going to favor the Buffalo Bills because their secondary is pretty stout. They do have a legitimate pass rush, but they are not good at stopping the run. Their linebacker play, as far as coming up and shedding blocks, isn't great. Pass coverage, they're better than average over there. Their secondary, pretty strong as well. On offense, they've got tons of skilled position players, and the more we can allow them to keep us off balance and play balanced ball, where they are going to keep us guessing if it's run or pass, that's going to really favor them, as it would really any offense. But with so many of our players out in the secondary, and so many players, depth positions out, it's really going to benefit us to control the clock and make sure we keep Buffalo in obvious situations. So it's my bet that you're going to see a lot of jumbo sets out of Detroit early tomorrow, especially if they can maintain an equal status on the scoreboard. The longer in the game that we can go where we either are tied, slightly up or slightly down, that's going to allow Lions to go with what they want to do, which is a smash mouth football game, pound them in between the tackles, occasionally use some play action, things of this sort to keep defenses honest and to keep Goff upright, plus whoever we're going to be having the backfield at that particular moment. The opposite side of that is it's going to help spell our defense. Our defense is emerging, but think about this. In the winning streak, the offense has been able to control the ball the majority of the time, which has allowed the defense to stay fresh for us. It's also forced other teams into obvious situations, especially later in the game. If the score is favoring Detroit, teams are going to have to get out of more or less predictable offensive packages and go to more predictable pass packages, which our defense has done quite well against as of late, whether it's being multiple blitz packages or just, dropping more and more people into coverage. Remember last week, we actually dropped all 11 guys into coverage on one particular play. Anybody who's been watching Vegas knows that we're roughly anywhere, depending on where you were this week, if you were to go after the line, we're anywhere from 9.5 to 10-point dogs. It's my hope, because of the enormity of the crowd. I mean, they're anticipating perhaps the largest crowd in Ford Field history. You're going to have to go back to 2011, the Monday night game against Chicago, to find a crowd that has a chance to be bigger than tomorrow's. So, will we set a new Ford Field record? I don't know. But if we can keep the game close throughout, that fan base is going to become a huge factor. Yes, there'll be some Buffalo fans there, but you want to know my score prediction? I'm going to give it to you right now. It's been Buffalo 30, Detroit 24, and I do think it's going to come down to midway to late in the game to decide it. I could be wrong. Detroit could pull it off, and I'm sure everybody watching would be thrilled to find that out if we do. But I do believe that, unfortunately, the injuries that we have in some key positions are really going to haunt us tomorrow. All right, well, that's it. Let me know what your score predictions for tomorrow is. Go ahead and put it in the comment section below. Tomorrow, I will have a video up post-game on the results. I get it's Thanksgiving Day, so I'm going to try to get up as fast after the game as possible. But probably much like you, I've got to juggle going to one family to another family, etc., and a bunch of cooking. So I want to say this. Thank you all for your support. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Leave a thumbs up and a comment in the section below. Enjoy your turkey day. Enjoy the games. And go Lions. After this commentary, I will put up the Jameson Williams interview in this video. So if you want to stick around and listen to it, feel free. Take care. Enjoy your day. And see you tomorrow on Lions Talk Live.
First day of practice, you got there with the team, and be actually involved.
It's been good. Long time coming. Something I've been wanting to do for a while now. It's just a part of the process. It's another step towards getting on the field, and it's something I'm happy to be a part of.
How do you feel like you can help this team? When you are able to get out there and see what their 3-game winning streak, riding this hot streak right now. What do you feel like you can add to the team when you get out there?
My skill set is different, so I feel like the coaches have a great plan for me and how they will use me. So when that time comes, we'll see for sure.
Was it emotional for you to get back at all? I mean, I don't know what the past.
I wouldn't say emotional, but it's been some little points here and there. You know how it goes. It's been a long time. I'm just excited to get back out there.
Did the guys give you any grief or anything when you walked down the field with that jersey after the first time got between the lines?
It's 50-50, I would say, but it's cool. Yeah.
Hey, Eric had a story a couple months ago just about the whole number 9 jersey. I'm curious, what did Matthew say when you texted him?
One thing I don't pretty much remember a lot, but one thing he told me is the 9 gonna be moving a lot faster on the field, so that was cool.
Have you felt like the same old Jameson, like not
yeah.
step, like?
I feel the same. I feel a lot better. I'm just happy to get back on my feet, get moving, see what I can do.
Jameson, do you think it'll be the mental or the physical part of it that might be the biggest challenge for coming back?
I feel like I'm past both of those. I'm just ready to suit up, play some football. Those parts are part of the recovery, and I feel like I handled those things well. So,
what's the biggest challenge?
I would say getting back out there. I had a lot of workouts, a lot of down days, a lot of bad days I had to push through, but I'm here now, so everything's been going well. That was probably the worst part, though.
We've seen you at every practice and on the road for some games and everything. Like, just what have you learned through this whole process by being an observer and trying to take the mental rep?
What have I learned about?
Just about NFL and football, and how can the past couple months help you when you finally get on the field?
I just learned a lot about. I would say I learned a lot about more defenses. Just me being in the film room and being engaged and going through this with the team, going through this with Coach L. He's taught me a lot of things, and I became more familiar with defenses around the league.
Help maybe that learning curve. So
yeah, for sure.
Is there a veteran player that has kind of taken you under their wing and taught you some stuff?
I talk to every veteran mostly the same, so I probably got pretty good knowledge from each and every one. It's all been different knowledge, but it's all been good knowledge. So everything's been good from that standpoint.
How much have you just missed the game? Just from we see you with the football out there every day, carrying it, toting it. How much have you just missed the game? Actually,
I miss the game a lot. I'm real excited to put my cleats on, be able to put a jersey on, be able to get out there with the guys and actually be a part of the team. You feel me? So it was something I missed a lot, and I'm just happy to get back going.
How much have you thrown with Goff, and how long will it take to sort of get a rapport with him and sort of get that down?
We really did some little stuff, but I feel like it won't take long. It's a connection, and this kind of QB receiver thing is a normal thing. It's football, so it may take a little time, but it's gonna get together for sure.
He can't overthrow you, right?